time-based rates. Now, like me, where I live, there's a lot of traffic. And if you live in an area with high traffic, you know, going just a few miles can take longer than if you're in a more suburban or country setting. In that situation, time-based rates might be more appropriate for you. Traffic in DC, like I mentioned, is, you know, like bullshit at best. The city was designed before cars were a thing. So getting from point A to point B, it can be obnoxiously long if you need to drive. But it makes it a handy reference for this example because it's already been divided into quadrants. So you have like northeast, northwest, southeast, and southwest. And a lot of these streets already have that right at the end. It'll be 34th Street Northeast or whatever. And they're like, boom, it's in the northeast quadrant. So you can say, how long does it take to get to this quadrant, this area, and know your averages and be like, okay, well, it takes me about 30 minutes to get to anywhere in this quadrant. And so you could set your rate as $50 for every 30 minutes. So anything in Northeast DC averages about 30 minutes. So it's going to be a $50 travel rate. So just kind of, you know, base it on that. Or if you live in a situation where you're like, okay, I know I have to take highways for this, and it usually takes me about an hour to get from where I live into the city. All right, you might say, all right, I know I'm always going to be traveling at least that hour. I want to make sure that my time is compensated for, so I'm going to charge $100 an hour. So it's really up to you how you want to do it, whether if it's a city setting and you want to break it up into quadrants, or if the city is broken up into different zip codes, you can use that and just be like, anything in this zip code is this amount. It's kind of like flat rate pricing, but it's based on time. You'd use time as the factor to set that rate. So it's kind of similar. And then if you have to go in a different direction outside of the city, you can just Google and just be like, hey, how long is the average time to get to this place? Time-based, I would recommend most for if you are continually going to the same locations over and over and over again, you have a good baseline for how long it takes for you to get there. If you are new to an area and you don't know how long it takes to get to things, Google can really only help you so much. You're gonna need to kind of like Google at different times of the day and figure it out, because a wedding that you have to be there at 6 a.m., like if I have to be in DC before 6 a.m., it's probably only going to take me 30 minutes to get there. If I have to be there anytime on a weekday before 10 a.m., it's going to take me almost 2 hours. On a weekend, anytime after 7 or 8 a.m., it could take me over an hour. So different times of the day going to or from a city, way that traffic is flowing, and whether it's a weekday, like a Friday wedding versus a Saturday wedding, city people are commuting to and from. That's one of the reasons why like time-based really doesn't work for me going to and from DC. So if you're going to be doing time-based, really keep that in mind. What about a Friday wedding versus a Saturday wedding? Is there certain times of day when the traffic tends to be worse? So if you're new to an area, I don't recommend time-based. If you go to the same venues over and over and over again, it might be better for you to just be like, look, I know how long it takes me to get there. I'm just going to set time-based rates and go from there and make it easier on yourself. Go ahead. Just keep in mind, brides don't know that information. So when they're searching for you and they're seeing a time-based rate, it's travel is $50 an hour. They can kind of like Google, but if a bride was going to be Googling me and she'd be like, oh, well, she's only 30 miles outside of DC. And that should be, you know, like 35 minutes or 40 minutes or whatever. She might think that it's only going to take me 30 or 45 minutes. And that's what I'm going to base my time rate on. Where I know that it's more like an average of an hour to 2 hours. And my time-based rate is going to be set on that. So when I give her the quote, she's going to be like, wait a second, why are you charging me 2 to 3 times as much as what I expected? I Googled it and it said it's only going to take this much. Then it feels like you're being sneaky and you're trying to get something more out of her or whatnot. So I recommend really being upfront with the time-based rate and say, hey, I travel to and from this venue all the time, and just kind of list it as venues maybe instead, because that is a situation that can kind of come up. Thank you so much for listening, for watching, for sharing, and helping to support my dream of empowering the bridal hair and makeup industry. I will see you back next time.